دوستان عزیز، خیلی خوش آمدید به روزهای یک شنبه ما. من دکتر مینو بستاری در خدمت ادمن عزیز در قسمتی دیگر از برنامه هامون در خدمتون هستیم. من چند کلمه‌ای به فارسی عرض میکنم و بعد میریم به سمت مهمان عزیزمون که به زبان انگلیسی صحبت میکنن. ایشون اینجا به دنیا آمدن، درس هاشون رو اینجا خوندن. فقط خیلی کوتاه براتون توضیح بدم عزیزان. شما همتون در یوتیوب فعال هستید، افراد مختلف رو گوش میدید. ما هممون به دنبال جوابی هستیم برای مشکلاتمون، از مشکلات خود ایمنی گرفته تا دردها، تا سکته قلبی و هزاران و سرطان بیماری دیگه. من تمام زندگیم و هدفم رو به عنوان پزشک همیشه پیشگیری دوست داشتم و فهمیدن این که از کجا شروع میشه. همه چیز 20 30 40 50 سال پیش شروع شده، امروز صداش در اومده و اینکه چجوری شروع شد، من چی کار میتونم بکنم که مسائل شروع نشه، این برای من خیلی جالب و جذابه. یکی از جاهایی که من دنبال سر نخ تو زندگی میگردم ژنتیک ماست. برای اینکه شما خودتون رو نگاه کنید، قیافه های ما همه با هم فرق داره، نه درون ما هم با هم فرق داره. خانواده های پر انرژی داریم، خانواده های حراف داریم، خانواده های ساکت داریم. اصلا بعضی وقتا ژنتیک آدم رو میترسونه. یه بچه میشه کپی پدر در رفتار، اخلاق، عادات، حرکت، اصلا خندیدن و البته درون هم به ارث میاد. بعضی از ارث ها بهش میگن اپیژنتیک، یعنی با رفتارهای ما و کارهایی که میکنیم میتونیم ژنمون رو تغییر بدیم. ولی بعضی از ژنها روی سنگ نوشته، مثل رنگ مومون. ما میتونیم مثلا با 5 مایل قدم زدن رنگ مومون رو بکنیم بلند، یا میتونیم بریم مثلا هر روز سبزی بخوریم، غذای خوب بخوریم، چشامون بشه آبی. بعضی از ژنتیک های ما روی سنگ نوشته، هر ملقی بزنیم نمیتونیم اونو درستش کنیم یا تغییرش بدیم. بعضیاش مهم نیست، مثل رنگمون و پوستمون و این جور چیزها. بعضیا خیلی مهمه، مثلا سمزدایی بدن ایراد داره، یا مثلا بایلی که صفراست رو خوب درست نمی کنیم که نوعی سمزدایی برای جگر. برای همین من با مهیار مکدانلد آشنا شدم، کازین همسر من، بسیار 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 دانشمند، واقعا در دنیای ژنتیک خیلی خیلی عمیقن. و جالبیش اینه که ما همیشه باید از روی درد واقعا یک حل مشکلی رو بیاریم. از روی خوشی ما به ندرت حرکتی میکنیم. ما همیشه با یه جوری مریضیمون عود کنه، خستگیمون عود کنه، مشکلاتمون زیاد شه متاسفانه تا به خودمون بیایم یا راه حلی از پزشکان نبینیم. این عزیز من مهیار خودش این راه رو شروع کرد و چون جوابی، یه پسر بسیار باهوش نمیتونست جوابی برای مسائلش پیدا کنه، خودش این راه رو پیش گرفت و بسیار جالب. و امروز قصهش رو برای شما میگه به زبان انگلیسی عزیزان، و بعد قسمتی از ژنتیک ریپورت خودش رو با شما تقسیم میشه، شیر میکنه که ببینید که چه اطلاعاتی در لوح ژنتیکی ما نهفته است و چه کمکی میتونه به ما بکنه برای پیشگیری. I would like to say thank you to Mahyar McDonald. Thank you so much for joining our Zoom meeting on Sundays. I was telling our audience how impressed I am when it comes to the depth of your knowledge in this subject. Please take the floor. It's very non-formal meeting. You can just, however you want to do it, share your story, share your genome. Just tell us really what you do. What is it that you do that is so groundbreaking and no other really physician or any other institution is offering that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the intro. It's very kind of you. Hi, everybody. I'm Mahyar, as Dr. Manu said. But yeah, I started this research project essentially because, like many other people, I have a hard time losing weight, and I have tried many, many times. And after 2 months, I would have to choose I do my job or I continue to lose weight. And then to and then after a few months, I'd gain back most of the weight. Like it's a very typical story for many people, and I was getting very frustrated with this. So I wanted to figure out why, because it's my kind of personality. I'm a very curious person. I have to understand why everything works. I'm a engineer by trade, and if you don't understand it, you can't make a good thing. So I took an engineer's approach and I researched this very deeply for many years on the side and looking into genetics and how obesity works and how all those things work. And eventually I figured out why for myself. Um, I looked at my genetics and I saw that unlike currently, when people give dieting advice right now, they say low carb, right? But for me, I'm actually the opposite. For me to lose weight, I need a lot of starch. I don't work well with saturated fat and a bunch of and I need double the amount of some micronutrients or so on and so forth. So I tried a diet that deduced basically based on what my genetics said uh, to I'll share my screen, and I think that will be easier to follow than me just speaking. So let's do that. All right. Is this visible to everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. But long story short, I figured out what worked for me. I did a diet that was basically mostly potatoes, and I lost 30 pounds of weight, and about 23, 4 pounds of that being fat, and it was like going on Ozempic. It was crazy. And now I'm like the skinniest I've been in my life. And then I stopped eat like the diet essentially. Like I still follow casual principles, and like I ate ice cream almost every day. And the past 5 months, my weight has been completely stable. I take these things called DEXA scans, which are like little X-ray things that tell you your body fat, and like I proved it many months inside, like they're all very stable. So as part of my research, and I've made a company to kind of deliver this like 5, 6 years of me researching it myself. So this is a very simplified report of what the actual genetic detail is. Um, and this report is based on me for the most part. As you can see, my genetics say I work well with starch, but I don't really work well with wheat and gluten. Simple sugars don't work well with me. Saturated fat, is something I really should avoid. Dairy has issues for me. And I need, so if you click this, uh, starches come out on top, for example. But I have,
Mahir John,
sorry,
if
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so
please.
sorry for
Yeah.
interrupting. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just basically kind of is the interview. So
Yeah.
you came to these conclusions
Hmm.
based on your genetic.
Yes.
Can you show us that genetic data?
Like the
Where
raw genetic data
the
or
raw
the,
genetic, yes, where did you see the gene? Like
okay,
do
sure. Hold on a
like
sec.
it's like black and white that you can see that this gene
Yeah,
at this level does this that I cannot use, that carb is good for me. You
yeah,
know what
sure.
I mean? The
Yes, okay.
pathway, like you did the same thing with me, like my pathways,
For
you went
sure,
through
yeah.
it.
Sorry, I will bring it up. Hold on. For most people, it's very technical. Most people don't want to go into this level of detail. But I am happy to do so. All right, here we go. So I made some software to look through my genes to look for specific genes. And for myself, we'll do carb. There we go. All right. So this is a little rough, but essentially, in this table, you have when you go to 23andMe or whole genome sequencing service like Nucleus, you get all your data about your genes. They say like at this position in your genome, you are CT, CC, or so on and so forth, right? And there has been a lot of studies done and a lot of resources available to say people with this gene have shown worse glucose, worse this. So for me, you see all these yellows and oranges. Homozygous means like both of my genes in that position match, and heterozygous is kind of yellow one is means like half, right? And the behavior is different for many. It showed that I have higher glucose levels, higher nighttime some stuff about my saliva and so on. The starch part is a bit like you have to look through multiple things to come to that conclusion for myself, and it's kind of like a deduction of like what is left that's still good for me, right? Saturated fat. Let's see. Yeah. So there's a gene in ApoA2. ZIA, she has a hand up. Or for example, that says, oh, I'm more saturated fat sensitive, for example. I get increased fat storage or saturated fat. Vasoconstriction is like your blood vessels, essentially. Reduced fatty acid conversion efficiency. So that means I don't convert fat into energy as well, essentially, right? Reduced LDL, which is low density, is like a form of cholesterol clearance with saturated fat. So like here you see like I match with all these bad things and saturated fat, right? And so avoiding saturated fat as part of my research, I found out didn't work well for me. While somebody else that I did this analysis with, she was actually pretty good in all this, and fat was pretty good for her and her genetics, but carbs were not so much. And
Mahir John, can you
yes,
give us an example of unsaturated fat that
uh,
your body cannot handle?
unsaturated.
Just give us one example. What
Uh,
are you avoiding right now?
I avoid saturated fat and omega-6 fats are just in general bad for everybody. So I avoid those ones too. If I have fat, I will have mono unsaturated fats such as olive oils and omega-3 fats from seafood. So like fish, essentially. Those are my two main fat sources. Um, oh,
One more question.
yes, go ahead.
Can you use plant-based fat?
No, let's
Can
see.
your body use it? Like a lot of
Nope.
people come around, hold on, and
Okay.
say use chia seed,
hmm
use تخم کدو.
hmm
These are so good, so good, so good because it
hmm
all has omega-3, right?
hmm hmm
Omega-3 coming from the plant world, right? Chia seed,
hmm
what is تخم کدو?
It's like a
Pa-
size seed. It's not, yeah.
like pumpkins,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all kind of تخمای گیاها.
Yeah,
Based on your genetic,
yeah.
can you use these fats?
Um,
Can you utilize it?
I think I'm reduced, right? So you see this thing here. So there's a gene that says reduce plant 3 omega-3 conversion. The
Okay.
the the omega-3 form of plants has to be converted by our body, and there are enzymes and various substances and various genetics, such as this one for me, show reduce or increase the amounts ability, and so my ability is reduced. And also the ratio of converting plant 3 omegas is generally small, so you need a lot more to get the equivalent effect like you would with seafood. So for myself, plants are not very useful in comparison to seafood sources. Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is exactly what my genetic problem is.
Yes.
And I've been using lots of chia seed, lots of pumpkin seed,
Hmm.
And I remember when I was in South Korea visiting for 2 weeks, I had such a source of such a tremendous amount of energy
Hmm.
and clarity. And I bet you that was the omega-3 from seafood that they
Mm.
use left and right, and that's
Yes.
how body can use. So
Hmm.
this genetic information, right?
Hmm.
It is very complex. That's why
Hmm.
no doctors has time,
Hmm.
energy,
Hmm.
or knowledge. It's a science in itself to look at each gene and say this pathway for using the plant-based omega-3 is not sufficient. You need to go to the real source, because remember, when you use chia seed or pumpkin seed, your body has to make omega-3. And if your pathway is not working, you have lower amount of omega-3. So I know this is overwhelming. Actually, Mahyar sent me 120 pages of this data.
Yes, because you're a doctor.
Yeah, on me.
Yeah.
And it's mind blowing. Each one of them you have to look. But again, we will get to a point that he will take your genome, put it into this program, put it in one page of what to do based on reading this. You don't need to sit and read this. This is everything he has on this display is based on his genome and each one of those genes. So now it makes sense. Those 120 pages now translates to this one page. So please understand, genetic, it's precise medicine, is on target. It's not like go and have some zarchube and you will feel better, or go and have some darchin. No, it will go to the bottom line of your genetic and say this pathway works. This is what you have to do. Masalan, in my case, I have to have more fish, more salmon, real food. I cannot use plant-based. You understand? So now we go. I just wanted to see you that his recommendations are not based on hocus pocus, the Chinese medicine, this medicine, that medicine, which is not really hocus pocus. They knew something, but they didn't know why, how. Now at the genetic level, we can see, oh, this is what happens. You understand? Like I'm the one that I get more weight gain with fat than carbohydrates, exactly like Mahyar. And mainstream media, what do we say? Do not have carb. Somebody wants to lose weight, don't have chogondar, beets. It doesn't make sense. You need to understand your genetic. If you don't gain weight on carbs, you can have all the beets and carbs of the world, the good carbs, right? Good carbs, not the potato chips. We are not talking about that. We are talking about carbs in the nature. Sorry for interrupting, but I just
No,
have
no,
to
this is great. Thank you.
inject.
Yeah, yeah, no.
You're welcome. So now we
Yeah,
go to your recommendations for yourself based on your genetic material. That is
sure.
120 pages, as you can see.
This is even me trying to somebody can get bigger. Um, so based on those genes, okay, yeah, so this is like my summary of like my top items for me, right? And then it references this kind of reference for myself. There's more detail, like I should have more thiamine, vitamin B1, for example. Um,
Why is
and
that?
um, I have some genetics that suggest I would benefit from more thiamine, so supplement could help. And also, when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, thiamine helps your body extract energy from carbohydrates in general. essentially. So there's an increased need for it. So which is why the recommendation is increased for that. And
Can you,
yeah.
because these vitamins are very close to our heart. We
Hmm.
all are taking some form of vitamin,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We always question, I get those questions.
Hmm.
What should I take?
Yeah.
What do you take?
Hmm.
Doc, tell me what medicine, what
Yeah. Yeah.
supplement I should take.
Yeah.
So this is really important. Just this
Yeah.
portion, daily supplement plan that is
Yeah.
basic on your genetic data.
Yeah.
Can you just go through this portion, the
Yes.
high priority of the
Yeah.
vitamins, and based on your genetic, of course. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
for sure. So yeah, I need, according to my genetics, double the amount of choline than a normal person. Choline is another micronutrient. I think it used to be called vitamin. No, it doesn't. Not called vitamin B9.
B17, yeah, it's in
B7,
the B
something like that.
vitamin. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
B
yeah.
vitamin family. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I found out through my genetics that I need about double the amount of choline than the RDA recommended daily amount, about 500 something, about 1100. And you can get choline through food, or you can get choline of a combination of food and supplements. And so, for example, 1100 milligrams per day is about 8 large egg yolks. Egg yolks are one of the best sources of choline, but that's a lot for a lot of people. So there's supplementation alternatives. So when I took choline after I found out with my genetics, I do ice skating as a hobby. And like within a day or two, like my brain, and I'm not a very graceful person usually. When I took it, all of a sudden my balance got better, my ability to perform in my ice skating hobby got better, and it was within a day or two. Like my brain energy woke up, right? And I realized I've been living most of my life deficient in choline because most people would not eat 8 large egg yolks a day. And this alpha GPC, which is like a metabolite, basically your body converts choline into this for the brain, is a specific supplement I take for it, and it did magic. And then methylfolate, there is an enzyme or substance inside your body that converts like folate we digest in some forms into a usable form for our body called methylfolate. And a lot of people have a reduced efficiency, and this creates heart issues because your body can't deal with the byproducts called homocysteine. And so I calculated that I needed about I have like a 60% efficiency. So supplementing methylfolate, I think vitamin B9, that's what it's called, um, also helps my health. For example, my homocysteine numbers are lower. Betaine is,
Can I
yeah, go
just
ahead. Yes, yes.
again, guys, this level of genetic knowledge is crucial for what? Families with anxiety,
Yes.
families with depression, families with heart disease. This B vitamins, right? B, like B1, B2, B3, B12. You all are familiar with B12, right? You remember that your grandparents probably used to go and get a shot, right? To get energy. These B vitamins are crucial for the entire body, not just the brain, not just the liver. Everywhere you go, we need to have an active form of B vitamins, especially in the liver detox. Everybody talks about bile, gallbladder, gallstone. A lot of time, we don't have enough form of B vitamins, especially choline, to prevent gallstones. You understand? In order to prevent gallstones formation, I have to have 9% fat, 1% cholesterol. So 9 to 10 should be the ratio. Then I have a good, juicy bile flow. If I have any choline deficiency, the consequences would be I have less fat there and prone to gallstone and bile flow. Believe me, I know this is complex. I know this is beyond our imagination, that somebody can look at my data, my genetic, and then say that your choline pathway is deficient. And my first question was, what is choline? I mean, it has been not on my radar. It's like a B vitamin that nobody really talks about it, but it's so crucial for our brain. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Mahyojan.
Yeah. So, and then this betaine or TMG is another kind of conversion product of choline. It's in that entire system, and creatine also is used part of methylation. So there's a lot of complicated kind of like subsystems inside our body, and this one where it says methylation support is targeted to various genes inside this methylation kind of world, right? Methylation is used for choline generation or synthesis or conversion, betaine and creatine, and they all work together. And so my genetics show like an overall issues with all sorts of stuff within this. And so each of these substances is targeting a subpart to make it easier on my body. And I found that especially with choline and alpha GPC, like I noticed a difference within a day or two. And I take it every day now. It's like one of my core B vitamins essentially. And creatine is also good for you in many other ways. It's part of another energy thing, and I can get very nerdy, so I always restrain myself. Um, and then another one is benfotiamine. So benfotiamine is a form of B1 thiamine that is wrapped in fat, essentially made by the Japanese because they have a very low thiamine diet. And this also increased my energy a lot. In the past, my hands were always cold. Very often with benfotiamine, my hands got warm. I stopped being as cold in the weather. And I noticed, just like choline, another level of energy went up. And it's not like coffee where like you get jittery or keeps me up at night. It was just like something below coffee. You know, you're just like, I feel good. I have energy. It's like that kind of thing. It's not a stimulant. It's just my body has what it needs finally, so it works functionally, essentially. Another one I would say that is not on this list, but I've discovered recently is called NR. There's another energy system called NAD+, that would take a while. And NR is a form of B3 vitamin, and I take that every day. And again, it did another jump of energy. So these three things, like each one was like a ladder of like better energy, better feeling. It was crazy. And then another thing I found is that in my genetics, I need more vitamin D than most people, more sunlight. And so I have this thing here, which you might see, which is a UVB sunlight vitamin D lamp. So I expose myself to this like 10 minutes in the middle of the day because you want to like correspond with like noonday sun. And this also gives me more energy. Like I stand in front of this, I feel better. I feel more energy. And again, it's not like coffee. It's like, right? It's like, oh, I'm like more functioning. So but you can get it through vitamin D, but your body makes a lot of other things in exposure to like proper UVB sunlight without sunscreen, such as nitric oxide and several other substances. But there's a balance. But so that was there. And then also I have less copper, and according to my genetics, and I saw this in my blood work, and you can also see it in my hair. I tend to have more white hair. I'm only 38, but it's like showing up a lot, and that comes from low copper.
So,
Yeah.
Mahyojan, low copper gives gray hair?
Yes, it can contribute to gray hair.
Huh. I
Yeah.
started at age 25 with gray hair.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you do your blood work for copper and ceruloplasmin, there's a likelihood you'll probably have it low. Also, copper is used a lot to deal with detox issues. So if you live in a moldy house, like it'll just like eat up your copper as your body is trying to like live with a moldy house. So though those all those things can interact to make low copper. And if you have copper, you should balance it with zinc. Copper and zinc contest with each other when you digest it. So if you have copper, it should be separate from zinc by several hours, and you should eat it with food. So if I recommend one or the other, I recommend both. Yeah.
And copper actually can help with prevention of diabetes.
Yeah.
So, so if I can just I know several friends are sending me messages that my English is not very good and this and that.
Yes, yes.
And
Please stop me. I'm willing to stop
right,
anytime.
right.
Slow explain, please. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
fully understand. I wish I had this level of knowledge
Hmm.
in a Persian speaking community, that I
Yes, yes.
could bring on. But this is like what Mahyar does. Basically, what I did 23andMe. That was the cheapest version of genetic testing that I have spoken about it many times. So I downloaded the genome. It takes 2 to 3 days to get the genome back, and then I send it to him. And then he ran whatever he runs, the data, sent me 120 pages, and then gave me one page like this, that, hey, you have problem with your this gene, which is MTHFR gene. You need to take the active form of B vitamins, like methylfolate, methylcobalamin, and active B6, which is P5P, then choline, and alpha GPC. So if you look up there, that is daily supplement plan. You go and take a methylfolate 400, choline 111 milligram, TMG 750, creatine like 300 milligram, copper 2.5, and sunlight. These are the high priority. That means absolutely he has to do every day. And for the first time in my life, I'm hearing about benzothiamine,
Hmm.
300 milligram. Where
Hmm.
do you buy it? You buy it on Emerson website? Is it a
Or
special
Amazon. It's
or
a very
Amazon?
cheap sub. All of these are actually fairly cheap supplements because they're just nutrients, right? Yeah, $10. I buy a whole bunch of
What is the
benzothiamine.
difference between thiamine and benzothiamine?
Thiamine HCl is like the average cheap one you get.
Uh-huh.
That's the standard one,
Right.
and it is not absorbed. It's like 5% is absorbed essentially by the body, while Benfo is 30%. It's also the HCl goes through your body very quickly, while Benfo lasts longer,
That's
right?
amazing. Amazing. What about
Yeah.
NR? What did you say about NR?
So NR or nucleonide riboside. Here, do I have it here? Here, let me grab it.
Right. Guys, do you really see the depth of knowledge here? That the genetic says you need B1, your pathway is messed up. Let me say it in Farsi. The genetic متریالی که یعنی تست ژنتیک نشون میده که توی این ژنها مشکل هست. یکی از مهمترین ژنها ژن بیوانه، ویتامین بیوان. همه ما دکتران میگیم بیوان، مخصوصا اگه الکل میخورید. کسایی که حتی یک دونه نوشیدنی الکلی در روز بخورن، بیوان میره پایین. بیوان چقدر به OCD ربط داره، وسواس. بعد تازه این ویتامین بی تایمین، یعنی بی یکی که ما میگیم میریم میخوریم 100 میلی گرم، 5% ابزوربشن داره، یعنی جذب داره. تازه میگن بنتوتایمین باید بخورین 30%، و تازه چقدر 300 میلی گرم. This is called precise medicine. Do you understand? میفهمید؟ یعنی من بیستان بر اساس لوح ژنتیکی شما به شما میگم چقدر و چه فرم و چی باید بخورید. هیچ کس، هیچ دکتری، هیچ دکتر طب سنتی، هیچ کس این عمق علم رو نمیتونه بیاره به حضور شما. و دنیای ما توی این داره الان میچرخه. یکی از جاهایی که داره میچرخه اینه که دقیقاً بر اساس لوح ژنتیکی شما به شما بگیم چیکار کنید. مثلا همین کولین چقدر برای من مؤثر بوده، چقدر انرژیمو بیشتر کرده، که حتی همسرم میگه بعضی وقتا که تو همیشه که خسته بودی الان چرا انرژیت بیشتر شده، شبا میتونی یه چیزی درست کنی، کاری بکنی اینا. و هنوزم ما نرسیدیم به مقصد، ولی میخوام فقط شما بفهمید علم باید با این دقت به شما جواب بده. پس الان مهیار جان این چیزا رو که گفتن، این 7 ساپلمنت های پرایوریتی بودن. یعنی اگر شما فقط $20 پول تو جیبتونه، $50 پول تو جیبتونه، باید اینا رو برید اول بخرید یا از غذاتون بگیرید. بر اساس مثلا کولین رو میتونه از غذاش بگیره، ولی باید 8 زرده تخم مرغ در روز بخوره. نمیشه، من باید 9 بخورم، من 1 دونش هم به سختی هضم میکنم. کولین مرکز اصلیش اونجاست، توی زرده تخم مرغ. اوکی، مهیار جان میخواید برگردید به همون صفحه ساپلمنت هاتون و اون اوکی medium. So okay.
The medium, yes. So the medium priority ones, I would say are kind of optional, but they help. For example, so magnesium helps with a lot of this like carb mechanisms essentially, and digestion. Well, magnesium is used for like 150 things in the body, and there were some genetics for me about reduced magnesium like efficiency essentially. Same with selenium, selenium for thyroid support. I have some thyroid issues too. And you can see in genetics how much you convert beta carotene into the usable form of vitamin A, called retinol. And so because I have reduced beta carotene efficiency, conversion efficiency, like making sure I get some like normal vitamin A in my diet too can be helpful, for example. So, and you could see it here as an example. So, yeah, that's explaining more. But this high priority system is what I prioritize, and because of my genetics thing, it's not about like fancy, expensive kind of drug-like supplements, right? I try to target what's affordable for people also, right? Like choline you can get for very cheap, right? Methylfolate, they're very like affordable supplements. Like this benfotiamine cost me $10, $11, and I got 90 capsules, which is like 3 months worth. I just take one a day in the morning-ish, right? For example. So like that, this is like $3, $4 a month, right? But it's done amazing things for me, right? Because these are all just nutrients. Hypothetically, benfotiamine would be hard to get, but all these things can be by food. But yeah.
And where do you find copper? What kind of diet is rich in copper?
Beef liver has high copper. You also have to be careful with these things too. You don't want to eat too much, right? If you have too much vitamin A, which is a very easy thing to do when you eat liver, it can cause bad issues. If you eat too much copper, it can cause bad issues. It's about a balance, right? So to be aware of what you're eating, if you love liver and you eat liver like an ounce or like 20, 30 grams a day, you will get enough copper in your diet and you'll be fine and you don't need to supplement, right? So it's
But very few people have liver or like liver. That's the problem.
Yes.
Zinc is very hard to store in the body, even in the liver.
Yes.
So that has to be supplemented daily, and mainly seafood has lots of zinc, correct?
Yes, that's true. Also snails, I found out, which was interesting. But most people don't eat snails either. Yeah. Yeah. So
Mahir John, we are getting close kind of to the end of the program. I just wanted to say something, and then I give the floor to you. Guys, this was just touching the water, just to see what exactly is out there. Mahyar is starting his company, and I promise you, this will be $1 billion company.
I hope so.
Taking your genetic data, do the legwork, and tell you what to take, and especially diet-wise. And then the diet will be delivered to the household based on your genetic. That's his vision, that's his dream. But for now, he will do. So I give the floor to you. What exactly would you do just for 100 people at this point to have data to present to your investors? And go ahead.
Yeah, so that report you saw is a product that I make now and you can buy on a website where I do that analysis, make that report, and then we go over like the results with people. And we can also do a lower priced like text only version. And it's a web page too, so very easy to translate into Farsi with things like Google Translate and other tools. And we can do a translation with translation tools and give you a report version in Farsi. We don't know Farsi that well, so accuracy not super guaranteed, but yeah. I also made a presentation for this, just kind of going over my ideas and what I've seen. Um, should I do that now, or do you want to answer
Yeah, we
questions?
can do
Yeah.
that. I just wanted to say that let's
Yeah.
say that how many people can you take under your wing to run this data on? Basically,
Uh,
they need to have a 23andMe. You need
yes.
to have your genome.
Hmm.
So the genome, I did 23andMe 10 years ago, and I
Hmm.
didn't have access to my Lohe Genetiki. You need to have access to your genome. So
Hmm.
you send a message, email to
Hmm.
23andMe, send me my genome
Hmm.
report. And then I send it to Mahyar, and Mahyar reviewed and set up an appointment with me and reviewed my deficiencies. It was
Hmm.
overwhelming. It was like this.
Hmm.
Like this pathway is messed up, that pathway needs this, you need to do that. I don't remember my copper pathway. I really don't know.
Hmm.
But basically, he gave me one-page suggestion. You need to get this and this and this. These are your high priority. You need to be exposed to sun, which I always knew, but I had no idea the pathway was messed up. That I needed that vitamin D pathway and the
Hmm.
circadian rhythm. So whenever you cannot get to the sun, a lot of people live in, I don't know, Scandinavia, have one of those lamps that yeah, he's pointing
Hmm.
at it. And how much is this? Like those light therapy. Do you
Hmm.
remember when we get depressed? A lot of it
Yes.
is as soon as it's cloudy and no sun, literally 1 week into it, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
The
Um,
uh-huh.
Go ahead, please. Yeah, this I make myself essentially, but it's just a fluorescent bulb holder and a fluorescent bulb, and it's a special fluorescent bulb. And so the holder costs $40. This bulb costs $40, for example. So 80 bucks to 160, depending how much you want to do. Sun tanning booths actually do the same thing. So if you have like a local sun tanning place that has lights, they have UVA, UVB, which helps generate that. I know people that got a subscription, they lost 5 pounds doing nothing else extra other than this, for example. So,
But it
also, yeah,
it
go
has
ahead.
to be exposed to bare skin, right? You
Yeah, you don't
cannot
want to
have
like sunscreen. Yeah, so yeah, I just stand in front of it in my shorts, essentially.
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Um,
Or get a
uh,
light box. We can get a light box from Amazon, right? Those light box that helps with depression.
that's a bit different. So this is like for sun tanning to make vitamin D.
I see.
You need also general large amounts of light so your body wakes up, right? So I made movie lights. Actually, I have this set up with a lot of movie lights. This is why it looks like it's daylight inside my place right now because I put a lot of lights. But I went overkill. You can buy these movie, but the light box, yes, that helps with like the seasonal effect of I need light.
Right,
But
right.
but there's something special about UV light specifically that makes our body make vitamin D. Like when I stand in front of this within 3 minutes, I feel something in my body, even though my eyes are closed. My skin is doing something to change the cholesterol in my skin into vitamin D and many other substances. Like it's uncanny. But a tanning booth place is a cheap way to try it out, see how you like it, for example. Yeah.
So basically, based on this genetic, we are not saying anything. Just if you live in a place, that has enough privacy,
Hmm.
just get exposed to the sun.
Hmm. Yeah, that
Bare
too.
skin,
Yeah.
bare skin has to be in contact with our sun rays, which is
Hmm.
that ultraviolet, UVA,
Hmm.
UVB.
Yeah,
It
UVB
kills,
especially.
yeah,
Yeah.
UVB,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
to
and you
make.
get go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead. No, 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 go ahead.
And you get the most UVB at noon, right? Like UVB is only like a small window and then it disappears at the end, right? So it has to be like so basically middle of the day is the best time to get UVB and places people in high up places like London, Scandinavia, winter time, there's no UVB in the sky because it's too dark, right?
Yeah.
And you might be wondering like why do we need more vitamin D? Because we probably our generations and ancestors come from sunny Iran, right? They don't come from cold Scandinavia, right? And
That's right.
those people do better with that lack of light because they evolved essentially to adapt to that region, right? And these things are not bad or good. Like probably the reason why I have less beta carotene conversion is because we ate a lot of food with beta carotene, right? And too much is too bad. But I feel like there's a bunch of questions and people are raising their hands and we should answer
Right,
them.
right.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
But can you see that we
yeah.
are not what we are right now in USA or Canada or
Yes, yeah,
wherever, Germany.
yeah.
We are coming from that region
Hmm.
with lots of sun, lots of fruits, lots of beta carotene. So our gene has to be downregulated
Hmm.
because it's toxic. Remember, vitamin A, ADEK,
Hmm.
ADEK. These are fat soluble. They stay in your body forever. So we have, if I get too much vitamin A from my food, somewhere I have to have a down regulation. That gene has to be lazy to not get to a toxic level of vitamin
Hmm.
A.
Hmm.
So I think we will continue with this discussion. I know it's way over our head. I believe that. I know you. This is my dream in medicine. And when I met Mahyar, it's like when you are ready, the teacher will appear. And the genius, and remember, this kind of data, you don't need to be a doctor to run it. You need to know how to run the data and see the genetic problem. This gene is messed up. And that's what you have to do. It's really an engineering mind that works here. So we will continue with this, but Mahyar, tell us how we can contact you if we want to run this program, this genetic. This is worth a lot of money, I'm telling you. Right now, he's in a clinical phase trial. You know what clinical means? Means I need 100 people, run this data, have this pre-whatever discussion and post-discussion and see what they did. What happened to their energy? What happened to their life? Like he said, within 2 days of using choline, he had more energy, more concentration. So this would be his presentation for the investor. This kind of stuff that he's doing or we are going, you can tell. It's very high tech. Somebody will look into my DNA and tell me what to do, what to take, what form to take, how much to take. Not blindly shoot in the dark. Everybody take B complex. It's like what? Did it help us? No. We are all taking something. Do we feel better? We are all the same.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all different. Yeah, it's universal advice for 300 million plus people that it's you can't yeah, it's hard to match for sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how can we reach you if we would like to contact you? And
Yeah, I have I put in my email in the chat, but the company so MAC at patchworkfood.com. Also the website patchworkfood.com. And here I'll like put it on a slide quickly. And hold on, Mac at
if you
patchworkfood.com.
want to run your presentation, which is like 10 minutes at the end, would be
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so yeah, I see this. This is our contact info.
right.
Hope it's readable.
Yes, yes, patchworkfood.com.
Yeah.
And do you want to run your presentation?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do it
Okay.
quickly. we already talked a bunch about what we were saying. So, yeah, okay. So this is called Genetic Biohacking for Weight Loss, which was the original title. Um, so as you know, fat loss is hard. Over 90% of people gain back their weight in within a few years. And Ozempic and surgeries are expensive and don't work for everyone. Manu's husband is one of those people. And the entire world is getting heavier. And we all used to be less fat. Like, look at this, right? Like in the 1975, 25% plus 30% all over the world, including Iran, have gotten fatter. And why did we all get fatter? It's extremely complicated. It's a combination of many small things put together. And as we said, what causes fat gain is different per person due to unique combo of genetics, microbiome, and more. And some things have a lot more bad things, and some places have way less. And this is why people usually lose fat on vacation, like when they go to Japan. And how does it work? Metabolic health is the biggest kind of bang for buck. You solve your metabolic health and you improve so many things like heart function, cancer, kidneys, and this is like very like well-known basic things in medicine. And fat gain is often the body trying to protect itself from worse things that don't work with it. It's a sign that something's not working. And improving someone's general health often makes them lose fat if they are overweight, which is essentially how my fat loss worked. On top of this, there's this kind of condition called cardiometabolically unhealthy, and only 7% of Americans are cardiometabolically healthy. And so, what does that mean? All five of these things have to be true. Your waist circumference has to be under a certain amount. Your blood pressure has to be in a healthy range. Your glucose has to be in a healthy range. Your triglycerides, which are fats, healthy range. And your HDL cholesterol has to be in a healthy range. And so, what causes blockers to metabolic health? There's six major things. There's a few other things, but the sixth one is like how you're able to extract energy and nutrition from your food, inflammation, hormones, your gut function, toxins, and sleep. Uh, so many people feel bad. It becomes normal. They live with low-grade gut dysfunction. Like your poops are not really great. Or you get acid reflux and you just accept it. Or low-grade inflammation. Oh, like this is swelling, my nose is slippy. They just can't sleep well. They're low energy, their hormones are dysfunctional. They live in moldy houses, which just like constantly attacks you and makes you inflamed. And we often forget or stop noticing things that make us feel bad. And food is the core thing that fixes this. And moving out of a moldy house. Many foods cause inflammation or bad gut reactions for one person and doesn't for another. And we are often better at extracting energy from one kind of food over another. The very hungry fat person who can't get energy, who is like hungry all the time, they eat more, I'm still hungry, is a person that can't get energy efficiently from the food they eat. But the body is saying, I need energy, so it keeps on making you hungry. But the body eats all this energy it can't use, it's floating around. That's toxic in its own way, so it stores the excess, and you get the constant fat cycle. And some people detox things at much slower rates than others. Like some people detox alcohol and all its related things, much slower rate. So alcohol hits them much harder. And when you get put in a unhealthy state, it makes you more fragile. Often, once you're healthy again, you can tolerate more foods to stay healthy, which is why I could eat ice cream almost every day now and be okay and be at a stable weight. So, how did I figure it out? I did a lot of experiments. It was a lot of work, and I found genetics was a shortcut. And this was my story. So you can see this picture. I use this 3D scanning thing to track my progress. And you see I'm much skinnier within 5 months, right? And fat just melted off my body. It was crazy. I was surprised how well it worked. And so I went from 215 pounds in May to 185 in October. And this is the DEXA body scan results I was talking about. And you can see, like, I started in May, so I already had some fat loss. It was 209. And so I went from 63 pounds to October in 43 pounds-ish, essentially. And then you see I went up in body fat a bit. That's because I did this experiment that didn't work well and I had to reverse. But yeah, and then also what was surprising is that my visceral fat, which is a big indicator of general health, it dropped from like 1.5, 1.6 pounds to 0.8 pounds. I went into the lowest
35%. This is really hard for a lot of people, but finding the diet that worked well for my body led to this great improvement marker of my health. So as you said, I got this with potatoes, and we went over my genetics, and this was my mostly potato diet essentially that led to it. And my experience doing this, it was bizarre how easy it was. I didn't feel hungry or deprived. I just naturally did not feel like eating a lot of food on this custom diet. And my body got warm. And so this is an indicator that your body is just burning energy by existing to keep you warm. And I was surprised how I lost like no muscle doing this. It was like Ozempic, but without side effects and faster. But as you can see, genetics is extremely overwhelming. And most other people, they just give you a reference book, SLAM, like other systems and companies I use, and they let you figure it out, and the recommendations are not very good. So I made that service, as you see, that did the reports, and we can go over it with you, or we cannot if you want a cheaper option. All you need is your genome or genetics, and if you don't have it, we can help you find a provider that will do the test quickly, essentially. And yeah, and we went over the reports, and yeah, that's it. Thank you. You're muted.
I just want to say thank you, Mahyar Jan, and I hope you can maybe, I know you are very busy, join us, because this is very overwhelming. So friends, I know it's very kind of, I don't know where to start from, right? But A, you need your genome. B, you need to be able to communicate in English. And if you have somebody that can translate for you, C, you will get that report. Like in Mahyar's case, that was his page. Did you see that? Macronutrients, these are the stuff he has to take. And then you need to be able to go and purchase that. Usually Amazon is a good place. You know, he can give you exactly that supplement, right? And it's a lot of back and forth. You know, when you get those 120 pages, probably you won't understand all of it. But I remember, I think I'm going to say it in Farsi for all our friends, and it's very confusing YouTube video because it's a combination of English, Farsi and whatever. So وقتی که من با مهیار جان آشنا شدم اومدن حرف خیلی خوبی زد، گفت دکترا نه وقتشو دارن نه انرژیشو که این علم رو یاد بگیرن. ما اصلا وقت نداریم، ما اصلا باور کنید نمیدونید چه خبره. شما یک کوچولو تو مطب میفهمید چه خبره، فقط میبینید که دکترتون وقت نداره اصلا هیچ کاری با شما بکنه. حتی بلاد پرشر، یعنی فشار خون هم بعضی وقتا ما درست پایین نمیاریم، میدونید، یه چیز سطحی. کی وقت داره که در مورد ژنتیک صحبت کنه، تستای ژنتیک به شما بده، بگه که برید این کارو اون کارو بکنید. و جالبی مهیار اینه که ببینید تمام جاده ها به یه جا ختم میشه. تمام هدفش این بود که با غذاست که ما میتونیم خودمون رو دوا کنیم، درمان کنیم. غذا. ببینید نرفته برای شرکت های دارویی کار کنه، تحقیقات بیشتری رو برای اوزمپیک و مانجارا و این و اون بیاره، دنبال غذاست. و کجا رفته؟ با لوح ژنتیکیمون ببینیم چه غذایی رو میتونیم بخوریم، چی رو نمیتونیم بخوریم، چی رو جذب میکنیم، چی رو جذب نمیکنیم. و جایی که نمیتونیم بخوریم متوجهید بریم سراغ ساپلمنت و چه نوع ساپلمنتی. این سرویسیه که الان داره ارائه میده با قیمتی که خودتون باید صحبت کنید، بسیار ارزون. یعنی اصلا فقط این، ببینید شما اگه دقت کنید وقتی که یک همین اوزمپیکی که الان $1200 میدونید الان داروی خیلی گرونیه، موقعی که داشت تحقیقات پزشکیشو میکرد ما فیز 1 یعنی فاز 1 داریم، فاز 2 داریم، فاز 3 داریم. تو فاز 1 مثلا فقط 15 تا آدم اومدن، تازه بهشون یه پولی هم میدادن به اون آدما که بیاید اینو مصرف کنید. بعد که رفت تو فاز 2 فیز 2 کلینیکال ترایلز، حالا 100 تا آدم آوردن، دوباره بهشون یه پولی میدن، بیا این دوا رو بزن. بعد میره تو فیز 3 300 تا 400 تا میارن، اوکی، دوباره بهشون یه پولی میدن، بیا این دارو رو ما داریم وارد جامعه میکنیم، میخوایم رو آدما امتحان کنیم، رو موشا انجام دادیم، رو 15 تا آدم انجام دادیم، رو 100 تا آدم انجام دادیم، حالا میریم رو 300 400. بعدش که رفت، بعد حالا دیتا دارن، یعنی میتونن بیان جلو FDA بگن ببین این کارو ما کردیم، این دارو این کارو کرد، نتایجش این بود. FDA هم بررسی میکنه، میگه اوکی دارو رو بدید. حالا این دارویی که به من باید پول میدادن، من مثالی توی کلینیکال ترایلشون که من این دارو رو بزنم، حالا باید برم التماس کنم به دکترم که این مانجارو رو بده، بیمه قبول نمیکنه، $1200 هست، تو شهرم پیدا نمیشه. برای همین باید متوجه شید الان مهیار توی کلینیکال ترایله. این قیمتی که مثلا $200 میگه یا $100، یعنی فقط داره دیتا جمع میکنه. He wants to present his data. اون روزی که شما خودتون فکر کنید، خودتون اگر من بتونم ژنتیک بچه‌مو کشف کنم و بهش بگم چه غذایی بخوره، چه مکملی بخوره، چجور پیشگیری کنه از سرطان، از اندوه، از اضطراب، خودتون فکر کنید این چه پولی توش میتونه باشه. من که با کمال میل هر چقدر باشه میدم که پیشگیری کنم از سرطان، پیشگیری کنم از آلزایمر، پیشگیری کنم از سکته های قلبی، و فقط هم با یه تست ژنتیکی که الان به من نشون داده که چه چیزا ایراد داره. چند تا ژنتیک ایراد دارم. باور کنید دقیقاً پدر منم این ایراد داشت، ولی بیچاره هیچ کس نتونست کمکش کنه. وقتی که شما فولیک اسیدتون نتونه تو بدن اکتیو بشه، یعنی فعال بشه، یک ماده سمی درست میشه به اسم هوموسیستین که این خیلی برای قلب بده و دکترای خوب قلب این تستو میزنن. متوجه هستید؟ یعنی و این کمبود B12 و فولیک اسید چه مشکلاتی از لحاظ انگزایتی و اضطراب و مشکلات دیگه ایجاد میکنه. من مطمئنم این ژنی که الان مهیار برای من بازش کرد، اسمش از MTHFR Genetic Defect، که من نمیتونم ویتامین های B رو فعال کنم. این یه ژنتیک بزرگیه. شما اولش چی دارید؟ اندوه و اضطراب تو خانواده، وسواس. بعدش حالا برو قند و دیابت و بیماری‌های قلبی، و برای که ویتامین های B به طرز وحشتناکی مهمن، که کولین هم الان یکی از اون بی ویتامین هاست که من این همه در مورد این بی ویتامین ها خوندم، کولین تو ریدار من نبود، یعنی تو رادار نیومد، و وقتی که در موردش خوندم گفتم او مای گاد. خیلی چیزا، مثلا وقتی که میری ورزش میکنی، این ماهیچه زود جا نمیاد، دردش چند روز طول میکشه. دیدید جوون که بودیم مثلا ورزش میکردیم یه روز درد داشتیم، الان چند روز درد هست. من نمیدونم شما چجوری هستید، من درد ماهیچم زود نمیره، میمونه یه خورده، که چقدر با خوردن این کولین بهتر شد. این کمبود کولین بود که بعدم گفت پتوی من، یعنی اون راه درست کردن کولین من، یعنی غذا رو میخوری حالا با تو بدن باید مصرف شه، ایراد داشت. خیلی از خودت هم حتی بیشتر. و متاسفانه مثلا من پسرم این 23andMe رو داره، بهشم گفتم این جینوم رو دانلود کن بگیر که من بفرستم برای مهیار. باورم نمیشه، برگشت گفت نه مامان من میترسم. آخه از چی میترسی؟ این ژنتیک. متوجه هستید؟ حتی بعضی وقتا ما میترسیم که ژنمون رو یک کسی نگاه کنه و به ما اطلاعات بده. خیلی خیلی متشکرم مهیار جان، واقعا this is ground breaking، یعنی دنیای جدید، و به آرزوی اون روز که ما فقط بریم دکتر یه قطره خون بدیم و برای ما جنریت کنه دکتر ریپورت که تو باید این کارو بکنی. من یادم وقتی که مهیار جان شما گفتید when you told me that I need ultraviolet, tanning beds, tanning lights. من هیچ وقت اصلا تو تنینگ بدا نمی رفتم، هیچ وقت، برای اینکه پوستو می سوزونه و اینا. ولی هوای ما خیلی ابری بود و اینقدر اصلا حالم گرفته بود. I was very down, winter months, lot of, cloud. So I went to the gym and I went actually to the tanning booth for 10 minutes. And it really made a difference. It really made a difference. It's amazing. الان همین که خورشید رو من میبینم I go out. I have to be exposed. بعدم همیشه دیدیم ما خودمون رو میپوشونیم. یه جوری پوستتون باید لخت باشه. You have to have a bare skin for the UVA, UVB. For infrared مادون قرمز, no, it's okay. مادون قرمز goes very deep inside your body. You get warm. You see, مادون قرمز is when you sit next to the fire, that red color of the fire, that's infrared. That makes you warm. That's where the warmth comes from. That's from the infrared. But UVA, UVB, ماورای بنفش is very superficial. و در سطح پوستتون داره ویتامین دی درست میکنه و این ویتامین دی چقدر مهمه. It's so important for so many areas of the brain. فقط just taking a supplement of vitamin D is not good enough. It's not good enough. We need our sun. And that's all we are saying. And Mahyar said it. It's a very short window during the lunch hour. Very short window. And in some areas, they don't even have that UVB, right? Like in London, you said?
It's a summer. It's a winter summer. In winter, they don't have it. In summer, they do.
Right.
And if you look up UV index on your weather app or UVI, basically you need 3 or higher. If it's under 3, then there's not enough UVB to really generate vitamin D. And it also has to be bare skin. So if it's cold in wintertime, you're not going to have any skin exposed, right? So,
What
yeah.
about, Mahyar Jan, what about if you sit in the shade? Do you still get some reflection of UVB and UVA?
Yes, but it'll be less, of course. Yeah.
Much less, but still you get it. If
Yes,
you really
yeah.
don't want to be in the sun, at least you can sit in the shady area, get UVB and UVA.
But also most windows block UV nowadays. Maybe some old windows don't as much, but they reduce it. So unfortunately, unless you have special glass, it will block the UV effect.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's good to roll your window down and let your bare skin and arm get exposed to UVA, UVB. Try to use your sun. Understand that our sun is our medicine.
Yeah,
If we could understand, we are a plant. This is the most beautiful thing. We are a plant. ما درست مثل یک گیاهیم. همون اندازه که اون گیاه، اون درخت، اون گل به خورشید احتیاج داره, that plant is in us. We need the sun to grow and to feel good. So just remember that you are a plant too, an animal too, and human too. We have all those layers in us. But alone, so many studies are coming out about the sun and sun therapy. So, and that's why I think we are sicker than ever. We drive in our cars to work that blocks all the UVA, UVB, everything. Go to the offices with no sun exposure. Come home in dark in the same car. Get inside our houses with blue light. And then we wonder, why am I depressed? Why am I this? Why am I that? So, thank you so much, Mahyar Jan. Thank you, friends, for your attention. Thank you so much. Please be patient. Please be patient. This is getting somewhere. And Mahyar, thank you so much for helping us out. Thank you for doing all this work, for your company, for helping humanity. I know you told me, deep down, that's what you wanted to do. Service to humanity and you know the road to health is through our diet. This is the bottom line in our heart. We are coming from the tablet of medicine, and we are coming from that road. Our answers are not in Ozempic or Mounjaro. So many patients have lost muscles, and I see them, and they cannot get it back. So this way, this is the road. The only road to health is through our diet, and find out about the nutrients and how can I improve the intake, the uptake of nutrients. Which is diet. Drug is not nutrient. دوا که غذای ما نیست، یعنی دوا که توش نیوترینت نیست، بی ویتامین نیست، B6 نیست، B12 نیست، مگنیزیوم نیست. متوجه دوای پتوه‌ای رو تو بدن تارگت میکنه. And I'm not anti-medicine. If we do prevention in time, we are safe. If we don't, game over. Don't think that now if I take choline, I will fix my Alzheimer. No, game over. So let's not get to that part, to game over. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. خداحافظ. تنتون سالم، لبتون خندون، دلتون شاد و قائم به خدمت باشید. با امید اینکه بتونیم بهتون کمک کنیم بر روشی نوین برای سلامت و پیشگیری پیدا کنیم در این زندگیمون. قربان شما. تا هفته آینده شما رو به خدای بزرگ میسپاریم. خداحافظ.